We're finally getting some paint on the Z32. We're gonna start doing the jams, getting everything ready. It's in the booth here behind me. We're laying some sealer down. We're gonna be laying the candy paint on there. So let's go check it out. As you can see, we already had prepped all the jams, got everything ready. This is just a sealer coat that we put on here to make sure everything lays down smooth, fills any little small imperfections, and we can start laying the base. We're letting this dry. After this, Richard's gonna do his thing, start putting some paint down, base, candy, and clear. So we'll let him get to work and get it painted.
This has about 5 to 4 coats of candy on top of a silver, and it looks really good. It's such a small area, so you're not able to appreciate the candy as much as I would like to show you guys. But trust me when I say this thing's gonna look amazing when it's all put together and the whole car is painted in this candy coat. I can't wait to show you guys. We got a little bit of blocking on the car right now, so that's gonna take a little bit of time and maybe a little bit of primer work left. But other than that, this type of paint job has to be done all when the car is fully assembled. So that's why we're doing the jams like this. The only thing that is not gonna get painted on the car is gonna be the rear hatch, because there's such a swoop on that rear quarter. When you open the trunk, I don't wanna see that line. Right now, we're gonna let this dry up for probably a couple days over the weekend, and then Monday we'll go ahead and reassemble the doors and go ahead and start blocking out the car.
Alright guys, we're finally getting some blocking done on the 300zx. I'm going to show you guys, we're going to go from different grits as we're blocking the vehicle. Also, we're going to be working on the hood, fiberglass hood. But in order to paint this, if we were to paint this the color, you're going to see, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, all these ridges. So in order, instead of doing Bondo and making it all this smooth and nice, the other way we can do is we use a Raptor liner, which is kind of like a bed liner. And we can coat all this in a nice even coat, even paint it, or even leave it just black the way it is, and around the surrounding, which we masked off, that'll be painted in like a satin black, just so that everything looks good. So getting this masked up, we're gonna start prepping this up, getting ready, and then we'll get it shot in the Raptor liner. All right, so as you can see, Jose has already blocked out this side. We already obviously did the jams on this, but we're blocking everything here, and we're doing it in different stages. So Jose, what are the steps here that we need to do? What's the sandpaper that you started with after it was primered, and how are you working down to a different grit?
Well, right now we started with 220 and we moved on to 320. After this, we're going to wet sand it with 600 and 800, and we should be good, ready for paint. Getting rid of all the pinholes, any little thing that we missed the first time.
So the last step that we do, and that's what a lot of people do, is to get it right, is we do a wet sand, correct?
Yeah, wet sand at that.
So wet sand with 600?
600 would be fine. 800, I like 800. Depending, for candy, I like 800, because it's more finer.
Oh, so it lays a better finish.
Better finish, yeah.
So we're gonna continue working on this, getting it all blocked out, go from from all the steps of that style sandpaper to finish off to a smoother grit, and then obviously do a nice wet sand so it can be ready for Richard to lay that candy paint on there. So we'll continue blocking on it and getting this thing ready. So a couple things that we have to do is align the door. That's what Jose's doing right now. He's loosening up the bolts that are at the bottom here and up here, and the striker, so that everything aligns flush with the fender. And then we continue blocking on it on this side. We already pretty much got the door. So they have to put in the hinge, the little pin here, and then finish aligning this side. All right, so here's the door aligned, got a nice gap. We're gonna rinse and repeat and do that to the other side. So as you can see, he applied it. This is kind of like the first coat, and the second coat will kind of just even everything out. But see how nice, it's just a nicer finish. Gives it a better look, You're not gonna see the texture of the carbon fiber.
Alright guys, here she is. We already jammed the car. We've already primed it 3 times, right? First time when we did all the body work, we reblocked it, reprimed it. Right now we are jamming the hood. We are painting the T-tops. And next up is we are gonna undercoat the quarter panels to make this look all nice. And we gotta secure the rear diffuser. Now this, you guys notice there's no rear bumper. It's all one piece from the one quarter all the way up to the next one. So we want to go ahead and fasten up the rear diffuser so there's not a lot of tension. So right now we're going to go ahead and get this thing on a lift, and that way see how we're going to fashion this thing. Oh my God. Oh, hell no, man. What the? Man, I'm just get your ass on. Right now we have the Z on the outdoor lift right now, and we're prepping off the inside of the wheel well, and we're gonna go ahead and shoot some Raptor all on the inside just so it has a nice durable finish, kind of like what it had from the factory, but a little bit more coarse and a little bit more heavy duty. This was a piece that we added to the body. It's all metal. Went ahead and added this piece of metal in here, and so it's just metal with paint on it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and hit it with some 80 grit, and then from there we're gonna shoot all this with some liner so everything is nicely finished back here.
Good, a good shape, you know. Let's get this.
All right, so we didn't really do anything on the inside. This is all just the factory finish, their own seam sealer, so on and so forth. We just prepped this out, and this is just one small coat. You guys can see it looks nice and uniform. This is not us. This is just a factory finish. You know, this finish looks a lot nicer. We're gonna cover this whole thing on both sides. The hood has been painted. A little dusty here because we've been letting it sit out here in the sun the last couple of days. Going gloss black. The engine bay is gloss black, and so are the jams for the fenders. We even put some clear coat over the texture coating just to make it look nicer. Now this looks a whole lot better than what that fiberglass looked like. In the meantime, we got the Z on the outside lift, getting a bunch of work done on the rear diffuser. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that's looking like right now. Cars for days. Yikes. This thing still needs a lot of work. This whole rear end was really messed up, and we still have some work to do on this thing. So I'm gonna go underneath here, show you guys. So the first challenge is we got these tow hooks, right? These tow hooks are in the way. So we're probably gonna have to remove those because if we cut it, it's gonna look super funky. You know, pretty much finish goes for the exhaust cutout. Secondary, we have to mount this somewhere. Obviously, we're not gonna mount it on the rear diff. So we're probably gonna mount it here on the rear spare tire area. Secondly, the bumper hits the exhaust. Don't mind the dust and everything like that. I'll be all cleaned up. So we're gonna have to reposition the mufflers anyway and bring these out a little bit more flush with that. That should give us a little bit more clearance so it doesn't hit right there on the muffler. We still gotta finish a couple of things. Even though it's pretty much prepped out, this rear bumper is still giving us a headache. After all the time we already took on the top side, the underside is still giving us a little bit of work. But other than that, this thing is coming along just fine. We got a whole lot of work to go left on this rear diffuser, but other than that, I think we should still see this thing in paint this weekend, hopefully. All right guys, wow, the hood just got shot in the gloss back. The hatch still needs to match with the body, so we went ahead and shot our candy apple red, and the paint looks amazing. Richard always laying it down so smooth. To be honest, you probably won't see most of this because there's plastic that covers it all, but it feels good to know that we're going above and beyond on this car to get this thing done ready. The last thing that we really have to finish is the rear diffuser, valence, whatever you want to call it. That needs to get done to where it's 100% because that is going to go into gloss black. Pretty much it. There's not a lot left that needs to go in gloss black, but that needs to go in gloss black. Then the rest of the car is going to start the whole candy process. It's going to require a sealer. It's going to require the base coat, which is probably going to be a silver. Then from there, it's going to require about 4 to 5 coats of candy, which is going to be a super long process because you're going to need exponential amount of dry times in between each coat. Then we're going to top that off with our House of Color Candy Clear, which is just going to make this thing pop that much more.
So Doge and Tesla put in AMC.
I don't know, man.
It's a big risk, bro.
It's a big risk. And
but if we hit 1,200 in stock, that's gonna put us up real pretty penny.
But what if we don't?
It's okay. You still got a ticket.
But what if you just don't put all of it? You just put a little bit.
Well, when you're in the,
isn't that greed?
That's not greed.
That is greed.
But we're fighting a war, bro. We're fighting a war.
It's a greed, man.
No, it's war, bro. It's war. These guys been doing us like this all this year.
Not you. You just started.
I'm fighting a war that was pushed on everybody else,
hey,
B.
Being greedy.
I'm about to be more greedy tomorrow. Watch me.
You're being greedy.
When I get to 1,200.
Keep your Doge, man. Keep your Doge.
I'm gonna keep my Doge.
Okay,
I got
then.
Tesla there. I got like 12 in Tesla.
Yeah,
So.
get rid of Tesla.
I don't know. It went up today.
How much?
627.
Remember, it used to be at 7.8.
Boring.
Here we have the rear diffuser. This has been quite a challenge because this thing was literally just like the rest of the kit, and this was kind of the last piece to the puzzle. We had to go ahead and mock up this rear section. Now we have it secure. We got to trim it, and we got to get the rest of this in primer and cover up all the pinholes. And after that, this car should be pretty much ready for paints. Finally finished the body work on this rear diffuser section for the 300Z. About 4 brackets on each side of the bumper. One right here, one on each side of this bottom diffuser portion, whatever that is, and one on this side. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and take this off the lift and get it in the booth tomorrow so we can go ahead and get with the final prep and paint. All right guys, the Z is in the booth and it's ready for paint. All right guys, we got the silver on here finally, and now it's finally time to get some candy on here. It's been a long time coming to finally get this thing where we want it to be. It's been a long time coming to finally get this thing where we want it to be so we can go ahead and finally put in this top coat. And I hope you guys are happy to see this thing. The first video was quite a while ago, and that's why these paint jobs like are so expensive, because you guys don't even know the amount of time that goes into a build like this. This was not cheap, a lot of time, and in order for a shop to obviously survive, you gotta have a variety of different type of cars. Fast car, like, you know, fast job, couple jobs like this, and so on and so forth, because this was just a job in itself, and it's not gonna be done overnight. It just takes time and time and time and time and time. And being human, imagine just working on the same car for months on end. It could really drive you crazy. If you work on cars and you know what I'm talking about, drop a comment, man. Sometimes you just gotta walk away from the situation and work on something else, or take a break, or whatever it is, man. But I'm so happy that this thing is finally here. Let's get this candy on. All right, Richard, so we got the silver down. What is this called?
That's a pre-coat before the candy goes on, make the paint look a little bit less modelly.
So what we did here is we got our silver base, and we put a couple of the K11 candy concentrates into the base coat to give us more of a flow coat. As he says, keep the base and the silver from kind of getting modelly. What does modelly mean? Is that like to kind of get everything so it's uniform? Is that what we're trying to get?
Yeah, uniform. That's a better word.
So that's what we're trying to get, guys, just so you guys don't know. We're trying to get this paint modelly. Candy, as if you guys know, if you guys are in the paint industry, you kind of know what, you know, candy is. It's very difficult to get a uniform all the way through. That's why the bumper is kind of molded on the car. We're taking a huge risk painting the tailgate separately or the hatch separately. I just didn't really want a line on there, so you could blame it on me if it comes out a little bit different. But I really believe our painter here, Richard, he is literally one of the best in the industry. He's been doing it longer than I've been alive, so if anybody can do it, Richard can. All right, so you're asking yourself, how do we get that candy color the same all the way through? So we pretty much have our spray card that is on there that we carry with ourselves to kind of compare and contrast, you know, what the color is going to look throughout the car. So even anything as vital as like these areas that you don't really see too much, but you don't want to really get the car a bunch of different colors, right? So we have to be very precise when we are mixing and spraying these candy colors. So right now the car is pretty much ready. We've done all the little edges that we needed to, and right now it is just time to go ahead and start shooting candy. All right guys, we got the tying coat down, and this is gonna let the candy kind of sit uniform, almost like a sealer, right? So it's the silver base with a little bit of the candy concentrate in the base, and that kind of gives us that one coat that kind of ties everything together. So when we start throwing the candy down, you know, there's not too much difference between the silver and the red. That's the color that, as you guys can see, we were mixing into it. So it kind of gives it a little bit different color, you know. So obviously you guys saw this with the sealer, then the silver, and now we have this rose gold looking color. Looks pretty nice actually. I'm sure somebody would like it, but we are not done yet. We still got probably a whole night of painting to do. We got the candy that still needs to go on about 4 or 5 times, and then from there the clear which is gonna be about 4 thick coats. All right, guys, so we finally got the whole tie coat together. It's looking good. Now it's time to go ahead and start spraying the candy on the car. Everything's coming together. We let the appropriate amount of dry time go down, so it's pretty much ready just to get sprayed now. So what we're gonna go and do now is go ahead and start mixing up the candy. All right, guys, what we got going down is this is what is called a mid coat, right? So this is what essentially is like a clear coat that we're gonna mix the candy into. And for our candy, of course, we are using a House of Color KK11 candy concentrate, otherwise known as the candy apple red. So we've gone through a lot of these. Richard here likes using the candy concentrate versus the quart size because you get a lot more depth with these. And look at the paint instantly change. That clear mid coat, interim coat, that's 1 can. How many cans are we going to put in there, Richard?
We're going to put in possibly 2. 1 for now, and I'll make a test run and we'll work with it from there.
Okay. Oh yeah, there's that candy. Alright, so Richard's in there spraying all the candy. That's all I'm gonna get for recording tonight. I'm gonna let him finish up what he needs to do. He still needs to put about 4 more coats of candy on there, plus about 4 coats of clear coat. So he's gonna have a long night there. So I'm gonna leave him there, and we'll see you guys in the morning, see how this thing looks. Bro, this thing came out so good. You guys have to see it. Are you guys ready? Let's take a look. Ooh, that gloss though, man. Candy apple red. There's truly nothing that compares to a candy apple red. Like, I know Mazda has like their own version of it and stuff like that, but this never can go wrong with it, man. The sheen and the gloss and the depth that you get out of this color is just simply amazing. There's nothing that compares to it, but you gotta really, to appreciate this color, you really gotta have some sun, because once the sun hits it, this thing just pops. It's June gloom here in Oceanside, so we probably won't be able to get much sun, but if we do get a little bit of sunlight, we'll pop this thing out and see what this thing looks like in the sun, man. I'm so happy with how this thing came out. Came out so freaking clean. There's a little bit more to go. We still gotta paint the hatch, gotta paint like the mirrors and the door handles and a couple little things, but other than that, got some interior work to do on it. Got a big brake kit that's gonna go on, but other than that, this thing is come a long way. This is where we're gonna insert all the old footage from the first video, from where it started out to where it's at now. Gonna wrap up today's video. This thing came out phenomenal, and it's not done yet, but we're almost there, and I'm really happy to show you guys this whole long process, because this was a job in itself, man. To get this thing to here where it's finally painted, we can go ahead and start assembling this thing. It's like we're finishing these cars, man. Sometimes when you're doing a custom car or restoring a car or something that's out of the ordinary, not 100% stock, it takes time, and it just keep hitting it and hitting it until it's done. And it finally got done, and it's finally painted. The little bit that's left won't take that long, and it's just to see it like this, it's just so rewarding. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and got a glimpse of what it really takes to make a custom car here at SOS Custom. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe and notification button, because we really want to see this thing all done, and we got some major cool stuff that's gonna go on this car next. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Here at SOS Customs, we got you covered. Peace.